Today, you're going to learn how to bid on cars at Manheim Auctions. First, I'll be taking you through each step to build a run list of cars to check out, and then I'll be taking you into the auction with me so that you can see exactly what you should be doing when you get there to bid on a car and hopefully take one home. Also, just to help you out, when we're there at the auction, I'm also going to be giving you a blueprint to follow so that you know exactly how much you should be bidding on the cars as well. Let's get right into it. What's up? My name is Jamal from Flipping University. I help busy employees build a full-time business flipping cars without any mechanical experience. All right, so first we're on the Manheim site, and this is where it all starts. First of all, you have to see exactly what locations are by you. There's probably going to be at least one within like an hour distance from you, and it's going to show it here under the locations tab. But you're going to see a couple different options. Usually the closest one is kind of marked first. And of course, this is if you have location set up and everything on your computer as well. And then you could just pick depending on whatever one is closer, or whatever auction also has the most cars that you want to check out. And you could also see that there. Let's say this one, New York Metro Skyline, this one has 1,800 vehicles. The one that's in Manheim, New Jersey has 4,300 vehicles. If you did want to see more locations on top of that, you go to the top right here, Manheim locations. Then you can select whatever state that you want and just go from there. But to see exactly what auction you want to check out and start seeing what cars are going to be at that auction, you just click into the tab right here, all inventory. And then you're going to start seeing all the cars piling up together. So first, you're also going to see the amount of cars. You already saw it in that beginning tab, but let's say if you were coming at it from a different area, then you could also see it here. And this is where you can also set up the filters for the cars that's going to be coming up as well. And I really would suggest doing this because, I mean, of course, let's say if you're going to an auction that has like 5,000 plus cars, you don't want to be taking the time going through every single listing. That'll take too much time. So let's say setting up a filter of, let's say like a year range or odometer range that you want, or anything like that. Make a filter like that so you can make the selection a little bit easier to pick between. Now, the great thing with Manheim is it actually tells you a pretty good amount of stuff that you generally would need to just quickly know if you want to be checking out the vehicle or not on this tab right here before you even really click into the car and stuff, so you don't have to waste your time clicking into every single car. So of course, the first thing is obviously knowing what the year, make, and model is of the car. You could also see like what the transmission of the car is. Let's say this one's a CVT. Don't get CVT transmissions, okay? Nissan CVTs are trash, but that's a whole nother story. You can also see what the CR of the car is. And if you don't know, a CR just stands for condition report. And it's really just like a tier system that they have depending on the number that they give the car. So let's say it really goes from like a 1 all the way to a 5. Let's say a 1 is a car that's in very bad condition. A 5 is a car that's really in perfect condition. Let's say a 3 is basically like good, you know, or normal condition. This one that you see here is a 4. So this is in like very good condition basically. Then right under that, you're also going to see, this is just really just the color of the car. It's nothing too important. But the next important thing is also just seeing a quick auto check report of the car. So you could see the auto check rating it had. You could quickly see how much owners it has, accidents, title things, stuff like that. And of course, if you clicked into certain things like this, let's say you could view the report and you could see more details about it. Generally speaking, I mean, that's the main stuff that you want to see. Let's say how much owners it has, accidents, all that stuff, and how the title is. Let's say if it's a clean title or whatnot. But if you want to see a little bit more about it, you can also see that there. Along with that, you're also going to see the adjusted MMR on the side right there. We're going to touch on that in a second, so just hold off on that for a little bit. But now let's click into the listing to see a little bit more. The next thing that you really have to look out for is the lights that's on the car. Generally speaking, the lights would show here as an announcement, and you could also see certain things with the overview right here as well. I'm just going to quickly go over exactly what each light would be associated with, so you already know. Green light basically just means that the car has somewhat of a warranty with it. Each auction kind of has this, and they have a little bit of their own policy, but generally it kind of follows where, let's say if you get a car and there is not an announcement along with that car to fix a certain thing. Let's say it was something like frame damage that's actually wrong with the car and it's not announced with it. Then if it clears a certain threshold of how much money would be to fix that problem, you could take the car and get your money back, or you could have the seller potentially cover whatever that fee is to fix it. Then there's also yellow light as well. Yellow light is pretty simple. Basically just means that there's an announcement with the car. So if you see a yellow light, really with any auction, make sure you're looking out for whatever that announcement is. Red light is literally just the opposite of green light, so it just shows that the car is being sold as is. There's no warranty or anything with it. And then blue light means that the title is absent for that car. It's not that the title is just never going to come. The seller, generally speaking, is going to bring in that title for that car, but they're just going to have a longer grace period to bring it in. So let's say if it wasn't blue light or title absent, they might have only had a day. That's generally how Manheim is, around 24 hours from the time that you buy the car. If it's marked title absent or with a blue light, then they might have, let's say, somewhere between 20 days to 30 days. This right here, it shows it's a green light car, and it also shows that the title is absent under title status. Now, of course, the pictures for the car is right here. You could just click into it. With Manheim, there's a decent amount of pictures. It's not as much as certain auctions, like an online only auction. They usually would have a little bit more, but you can see a decent amount. Of course, you can just click all the way through all of them. Now, along with that, let's click into the MMR. If you don't know, MMR just stands for the Manheim Market Report of the car, which is basically just a average pricing that Manheim would give a car based on how much the car is sold for in the past. So most dealers, let's say if you went to the auction, if you've seen a dealer just kind of running around scanning cars up, this is usually what they're checking. You could usually pull up, I'll show you how it works when we're at the auction in person, but you could scan up the VIN number for the car. It'll pull up this little form. You can see exactly what the MMR pricing is. And MMR pricing basically just shows around what the wholesale pricing is of that car. And it'll generally show around how much the car could potentially go for when it ends up selling. And then it's going to give you this value right here, the adjusted MMR, which is what the wholesale value is of the car that you're looking at is. And as a quick practice of what you can do so that you know if that car is potentially going to be something that you could afford to get or not, and if it's going to be in your budget, I really would say if this adjusted MMR is around $500 to $1,000 of whatever your budget is, then you could potentially go for it. It might not land in your budget, but it's a potential thing, you know, depending on how good of a deal you might end up getting that day. But the next thing is just adding it to your run list of cars you want to check out when you get there, so that you could not just be jumping back into the site every single time and trying to find the car that you were looking at on the website. So to do that, you go to this top part right here, right next to this heart icon, click workbook, and then boom, it's added to your workbook. And then to find where that workbook is, we're going to go back to the Manheim dashboard, and then you'll see it right here where the quick links are. And then boom, there it is right there, the beautiful car. Definitely would not be getting this car. Again, I do not bid on Nissan CVT cars, but that's an example right there. Just added it to my workbook. I'll show you what it looks like when you're using the app, because let's say when you're there in person, you're mainly going to be using the app, the Manheim app, to do all this stuff. But let's get into that now. Let's go into the auction in person and see exactly what the process would be to start bidding on the cars as well. All right, so we here at the auction, and the first thing that you're really going to be doing is scanning up your auction access tag if you have one. And generally speaking, there's usually going to be either a building that you walk into to scan everything up, or with this Manheim, there's a booth right there where there's just someone working there where they're just going to write down your credentials, take down your auction access code, and then just let you in from there. All right, awesome. So now we made it into the auction, and then what's next? We got all these different cars here. How is everything even organized? That's what we're going to get into now. So first of all, you're going to see a couple of things when you're looking at each car, not only that you see in person, but also on your workbook. And we'll use this BMW SUV as an example. So let's say this one, you see everything here. You're like, all right, well, what's even going on? You see the year, the mileage, all that stuff. These are the two numbers that you really have to pay attention to. So this is the lane number and this is the run number. This second number is basically always going to be the same with almost every auction. This sometimes can be a little different. Instead of it being a number, it could potentially be a letter. But how this kind of corresponds is that the lane number is the lane that this car is associated with. So let's say all these cars that's right here, that's stacked up in this row, this is all associated with that same lane number right there, which is lane 8. This number right next to it, 54, this is the run number. So 54, that basically means that I'm going to show you guys what the actual auction house looks like in a second. That's the auction house right there with that building. But each lane is going to have a certain stack of cars like this, certain row of cars all going through, and then it's going to be going in order of what the run number is in the auction as well. So let's say lane 8, number 1, and then just keep going up from there. Number 2, number 3, and let's say this one will be the 54th car that'll go through in lane 8. And if you're wondering on how this ties into the workbook that you made, this is the Manheim app right here. You open up the workbook section of the app. this is going to be the cars lined up, and you're going to see that same thing corresponding here. So let's say you'll see lane 5, run number 104 for this car right here. And if you're wondering also of how you can potentially find each car, because that's going to be the other thing with some other auctions, like they're really big and some cars might not even be lined up in the right spots. You can click into the car, go down to the bottom here where it says find at auction, and then you'll see a little map with the auction itself, along with a marking of where the car exactly is. So you'll be able to use that to find exactly where the car is, and you're not running around looking all over the place. And if you're wondering how they do that, they usually have these little things, something like this, just kind of tagged into the car on the OBD port so that it can actually read whatever the location is of the car. And before we go any further, I did just want to mention one thing really quick too. So usually, let's say most auctions in the US, they start at around like 9 a.m. wherever you are, for the most part, for Manheim. I will say you should not be showing up at 9 a.m. yourself if you're going to the auction, especially if it's your first time. Even if the auction itself starts and the bidding starts at 9 a.m., you could usually show up at the auction, let's say at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. to start checking out cars, or you could even go technically the day before a lot of the times. Now, I'm not going to go on a full thing of exactly how you should quickly inspect the car at the auction. I already made a video explaining that. If you want to see that, just click into the video at the top there. But I will just say, make sure you're taking your time inspecting these cars, and at least bring an OBD scanner. What I have right here is a blue driver scanner. You don't have to get this exact one, but it's a good one to just kind of start you up with things, and it's one of the main ones that I really use. But the main thing is it'll of course be able to allow you to read those codes that comes up with the car, because most cars this here is going to have some type of problem to address. And it'll also be able to show you if a dealer has potentially cleared the codes on the car. And as a quick thing, usually what I do when I'm going through each car and inspecting them, I'll usually add whatever comments that I see about the car right there. And let's say if you have any type of note that you saw was a problem with the car that you want to make sure you remember when you're about to bid on it later, you can add it there. And let's say if you don't like the car anymore, or you just saw that it's not a good car you want to bid on, you could just tap the little icon on the top there, the little heart icon, and remove that from your workbook as well. All right, so we're gonna go over the bidding process now, and then right after that I'm gonna give you guys a good process to follow so you know exactly how much you should be bidding on each car as well. So let's say if you're gonna be doing it through the mobile app, that's one option that you could have. You'd go here to the auction itself, you just press go, or let's say if you're in a different auction, you press into that auction as well. Then it's gonna bring you to a different tab like this, where it's gonna show you all the different lane numbers that it has. And then this is where you're just gonna press join sale for whatever lane number you wanna check out. And then boom, so now you're gonna see the lane number that it's on right now. It looks like it's on lane 3, and then it's on run number 136, and this is the car it's going through. It's a 2012 Cadillac CTS. No, I'm not bidding on it, but this is how the car is going to look as it's going by. And of course, when you're ready to bid, you're just going to press that bidding number right there at the bottom. And when you put in your bid, generally speaking, you'll hold that bid until someone else beats you. It usually goes up by around $100 to $200 increments. And then let's say if you're the top bidder, this is one way that you can do it, just doing it strictly online. But I will say most auctions like this will have some type of fee that gets associated with it if you are going to be bidding online like this. So let's say for Manheim, I believe it's around like an extra $50 fee if you're going to be bidding online instead of doing it in person. But now let's look at what it would look like if you did it in person as well. So it'll be the same thing as what you'll see online, but it's just in person. So each car is going to be going up run number by run number. You're going to see the auctioneer there. When you're ready to bid on a car, you need to make sure that you're standing in front of the auctioneer, or at least in an area where the auctioneer can't see you. And the very simple thing that you can be doing is around the same thing as what was happening online. The bidding increments are going to go up by around 100 to 200. You'll generally see them stacking up that same way. And all you're going to be doing is just raising up your hand or just doing some type of nodding motion or anything while you're looking at the auctioneer, so that he knows that you're putting up the bid for the car. If you do get that winning bid for the car, you are going to have to show them your bidding number or your bidding badge. Generally speaking, you're going to usually get this when you show your auction access tag when you first get into the building and when you first getting into the lot. And as a quick note, I will say it's not always going to be where just because you got the top bidding number, you're always going to get the car. Sometimes it's just going to be where, yes, you got the top bid for the car, but it's going to go into negotiation because let's say the seller might have had a minimum reserve price that the bid at least needed to get to before it just got sold. So either if that was the case, it would usually go into just going into negotiation, or let's say if you already hit that reserve for the car for the bid that you put on for that car, then it would automatically get sold and it would be yours as well. Okay, so that was how you bid on the cars, but now we have to touch on how to know how much to bid on the cars to make sure you're getting some good profit off of the flip. But I will say before that, if you haven't heard, I'm dropping a program right now called Full-Time Auction Blueprint. As the name implies, it's a program that teaches you how to build a full-time business flipping auction cars specifically. I give my all with this. I mean, flipping auction cars is like the main thing that I really do, and a lot of people have been asking me about it. So if that is a goal of yours, and if that's a dream of yours to quit your job and to go full-time in this business, make sure you check it out. It's going to be in the link in the description below. But I will say access is not going to be forever. Doors are going to be closing for this program Tuesday, September 10th at midnight, just so I can serve the people that are joining the best way possible. So make sure if that is a goal of yours and that's something that you want, jump into the link in the description below to find out more. But all right, so now I'm gonna give you a good formula to use to know exactly how much to bid on each car. So we're gonna use this car as an example. This is a 2013 Hyundai, I believe it's an Elantra. Not exactly sure. Pretty sure it's an Elantra, but it is what it is. Let's say everything was all good with the car after I checked it out. Now I'm gonna go into seeing exactly how much the car sells for before anything else. There's a lot of ways realistically that you could look up to see exactly how much a car would sell for, but Kelley Blue Book is one of the places that I like to check, because realistically when you're selling the car, most people are going to be using Kelley Blue Book to see around what the average of that car sells for is. This is usually one of the things I like to take as a judge. So of course we're just going to go through the build and specs of the car. I plugged in the mileage and that was the pricing that it gives for this car. It looks like average pricing for private party in good condition is $3,100. And I will say, generally speaking, most cars when you're selling them are going to be in good condition. If it's not in good condition yet, you should try to make it into at least good condition when it's time to sell it. And usually you really shouldn't be trying to go way above what that number is. You could go over that middle number that's in between both of them right here, the 3,100, but realistically, even if you end up getting a lot more profit, it's going to take way too long to sell it. So usually sticking around that number is a good rule to stick to. Then what you're going to be doing is taking that number and subtracting how much profit you want to make off of the car. So let's go over to the handy dandy calculator for this. I will say technically it depends on how much you're investing into the car and how much work you're going to be doing with it for how much profit you should expect. But let's say for this car, I would usually expect at least $1,000 profit off of the car. So let's say before anything else, boom, we're going to take that 3,100, subtract 1,000. That brings us to 2,100. But that ending number right there is not how much you're going to be into the car for. You also want to take into account how much you need to put into the car, let's say to get it to being ready for sale in good condition. So let's say if I had to take another $100 off for parts, we can do that. And then you also have to take into account for how much you have to pay in buyer fees, right? So let's say for this amount of money at Manheim, you'd have to check with your Manheim by you, but let's say it might be around like $250 for buyer fees. So let's subtract another $250, and that ending number right there is the amount that I want to be as the top bidder for. All right, it can't be above that number, $1,750. But that's everything. It's dumb hot here. I'm gonna go home now. And by the way, as a quick thing, yes, I'm gonna continue with the flipping series. Don't worry, I'll be back into it very soon. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.